Night Court, 1984–1992, was a unique and beloved sitcom, blending sharp humor with quirky characters and unforgettable moments inside Judge Harry Stone's late-night courtroom. The show became a staple of 1980s television, capturing the hearts of fans with its eccentric cast and hilarious legal hijinks. However, as the years have passed, some of the talented actors who made Night Court so special are no longer with us. In this video, we take a heartfelt look back at their lives and careers, remembering the iconic roles they played and the tragic circumstances of their deaths. Let's honor their legacies and celebrate the joy they brought to audiences worldwide. Richard Moll played Bull Shannon, the lovable, towering bailiff in Night Court, starting in 1984 at the age of 41. His character, a gentle giant with an imposing frame, a deep, booming voice, and an almost childlike innocence, was one of the show's most memorable figures. While Night Court brought him recognition, his massive stature often led to typecasting, limiting his opportunities for diverse roles. He turned to voice acting, providing voices for animated series and video games, but his on-screen career never reached the heights of Night Court. Moll married twice, but neither marriage lasted, and his relationships with his children became distant. As he aged, his health began to decline, and he withdrew from public life, living in quiet isolation in Big Bear Lake, California. His final years were marked by solitude, with few industry tributes when he passed away. On October 26, 2023, at the age of 80, he died at home, with no official cause of death publicly disclosed. Harry Anderson starred as Judge Harry T. Stone in Night Court, taking on the role in 1984 at the age of 32. His character, a young, eccentric judge with a deep love for magic, Mel Torm, and outdated humor, brought a unique warmth to the courtroom, balancing comedy with heartfelt moments. Before Night Court, Anderson had made a name for himself as a magician and comedian, but after the show ended in 1992, his career struggled to maintain the same momentum. He guest starred on a few shows and took on smaller roles, but Hollywood seemed to move on without him. In an effort to reinvent himself, he opened a magic shop and nightclub in New Orleans, but both businesses faced financial trouble. His personal life was equally tumultuous. His first marriage to Leslie Pollock ended in divorce, leaving him distant from his two children. He later married Elizabeth Morgan, but as he grew more reclusive, his health deteriorated. He was found dead in his North Carolina home on April 16, 2018, at the age of 65, the official cause of death being a stroke. Charles Robinson joined Night Court in 1984 at the age of 39, playing Mac Robinson, the level-headed and efficient court clerk. Mac, a Vietnam War veteran known for his signature sweater vests and easygoing nature, brought a sense of stability to the courtroom's chaos. Robinson was a veteran of television, but despite a long career, he never quite found another role as impactful as Mac. His marriage to Dolorita Noonan Robinson lasted, but his later years were plagued by serious health issues. Diagnosed with cancer, he endured months of suffering, made worse by complications that led to multiple organ failure. Despite fighting bravely, his body succumbed to the illness, and he passed away on July 11, 2021, at the age of 75, following cardiac arrest. Though his contributions to television were significant, his passing did not receive the widespread recognition it deserved, another example of Hollywood's tendency to forget even its most dependable actors. Markie Post became Christine Sullivan in 1984 at age 34, portraying the intelligent, kind-hearted public defender whose moral convictions often put her at odds with the show's more cynical characters. Off-screen, her life mirrored that same struggle. Post fought to be taken seriously in Hollywood, often landing roles that failed to showcase her true talent. Though she remained married to writer Michael A. Ross, her battle with cancer cast a long shadow over her later years. Diagnosed in 2017, she underwent chemotherapy while still working, refusing to let the disease define her. However, as the years passed, the treatments became less effective, and her condition worsened. By the time of her death on August 7, 2021, at age 70, the once vibrant actress had been reduced to a frail shadow of herself. She died after 4 years of relentless suffering, her career cut short by a disease that showed no mercy. Paula Kelly played the sharp and empathetic public defender Liz Williams in Night Court in 1984 at age 42, earning an Emmy nomination for her performance. Her character brought a sense of intelligence and moral grounding to the chaotic courtroom, standing as a voice of reason. Kelly was an immensely talented actress, dancer, and singer, yet she constantly faced barriers in Hollywood, where opportunities for black actresses were severely limited. She starred in films like Sweet Charity and Soylent Green and made waves on Broadway, but despite her accolades, she struggled to maintain steady work in an industry that often overlooked her. She married British director Donald Chaffee, and they had a daughter, but Chaffee's death in 1990 left her devastated. In her later years, she suffered from chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, which gradually robbed her of her ability to perform. She passed away on February 8, 2020, at the age of 77, after spending her final years in quiet isolation. Selma Diamond took on the role of Selma Hacker in 1984 at age 64, becoming an instant fan favorite with her sharp wit and gravelly voice. Despite her success on Night Court, her real life was far from joyful. A long-time heavy smoker, she had already been battling health problems by the time she joined the cast. Behind the scenes, she was often exhausted, struggling through filming with persistent coughing fits and difficulty breathing. Though never married, she often spoke of regret over not having children, admitting to friends that she feared dying alone. Those fears became a tragic reality when her health declined rapidly due to lung cancer. On May 13, 1985, at age 64, she succumbed to the disease, her time on Night Court cut tragically short. Her passing was a devastating blow to the cast, many of whom were unaware of the severity of her illness until it was too late. Florence Halop took on the role of bailiff Florence Kleiner in Night Court in 1985 at age 62, stepping in after Selma Diamond's death. Her character was tough, witty, and no-nonsense, yet had a warm, maternal side that made her endearing. Halop had been acting since childhood, first finding fame in radio before transitioning to television, though for much of her career, she was relegated to small, often uncredited roles. Despite her talent, she struggled to gain recognition, and Night Court finally gave her a long-overdue spotlight. She was married to George Gruskin, and they had 2 children, but financial struggles and the instability of an acting career placed strain on their family. Halop was a heavy smoker, a habit that would ultimately lead to her downfall. Just as her career was being revived, she was diagnosed with lung cancer. The disease progressed rapidly, leaving her weak and in constant pain. She passed away on July 15, 1986, at the age of 63. Mel Torm made recurring appearances on Night Court as himself, beginning in 1985 at age 60, adding a touch of musical brilliance to the show. His character was the object of Judge Stone's admiration, and his real-life jazz legacy made him a beloved addition to the series. Torm had been a child prodigy, writing his first song at age 13, and went on to become one of the greatest jazz vocalists of his time. However, despite his success, he often felt overshadowed by other singers of his era. He was married 4 times, with each relationship ending in heartbreak, and he had 5 children, some of whom he became estranged from. In 1996, he suffered a severe stroke that left him unable to sing, a devastating blow to a man whose entire identity was wrapped up in his voice. His health continued to decline, and after years of struggling with the effects of his stroke, he passed away on June 5, 1999, at the age of 73. Eddie Barth played Morty Fleckman in Night Court in 1985 at the age of 54, delivering a humorous and endearing presence. With a deep, recognizable voice, he found steady work in commercials and television, even earning the nickname Mr. Gravel Voice, yet the industry rarely rewarded him with leading roles. His marriage to Linda, once full of promise, crumbled under financial strain and his increasing reliance on alcohol to cope with the disappointments of his career. His children, Michael and Sarah, grew up in a fractured home, distanced from a father who drowned his sorrows in late-night bar visits rather than family dinners. In his later years, Eddie's health took a severe decline, with worsening heart disease exacerbated by years of neglect. He refused to slow down, continuing to drink and smoke despite doctors' warnings, until his body finally gave out. On May 28, 2010, he died alone at the age of 78 from heart failure, his once powerful voice silenced forever, his name largely forgotten outside of nostalgic reruns. Jack Riley portrayed the bizarre and eccentric Beepo the Clown in Night Court in 1984 at age 49, bringing a unique comedic energy to the show. Known for his dry wit and neurotic persona, he had previously gained fame as Elliot Carlin in The Bob Newhart Show, a role that made him recognizable but never quite propelled him to leading man status. He built a steady career in television and voice acting, later voicing Stu Pickles in Rugrats, yet financial instability and the transient nature of acting work left him constantly anxious about his future. He was married to Ginger Lawrence, and though they remained together, his self-doubt and insecurity often put strain on their relationship. In his later years, Riley's health began to decline, and he developed pneumonia, a condition that gradually weakened him. His final months were spent in and out of hospitals, battling respiratory issues. He passed away on August 19, 2016, at the age of 80. Walter Olkewicz played Walter Plimp in Night Court in 1986 at age 38, bringing a quirky and offbeat presence to the show. He built a career as a dependable character actor, appearing in films like The Client and Making the Grade, but despite his steady work, he never became a household name. His biggest struggle was his health. He suffered from severe knee problems that began in the late 1990s, and after a failed surgery in 1999, he was left in constant pain. The complications from his surgery forced him to retire from acting, cutting short a career that he had worked so hard to build. He had a son, Zach, who became a screenwriter, but Olkewicz spent much of his later years in isolation, his declining health keeping him away from the industry he loved. His mobility issues worsened over time, and he became increasingly reclusive. After years of suffering from multiple health issues, he passed away on April 6, 2021, at the age of 72. Fran Ryan portrayed Miss Crombie in Night Court in 1987 at the age of 71, bringing her signature eccentricity to the role. A veteran actress known for her gruff but lovable characters in Green Acres, Gunsmoke, and Cheers, she built a career playing memorable but fleeting parts, always overlooked for larger opportunities. Her personal life was equally unstable. Her marriage to Richard ended in a bitter divorce after years of neglect, and her only daughter, Elizabeth, drifted away, frustrated with a mother who prioritized her career over family. In her later years, the vibrant energy that had once defined her performances faded, replaced by illness and solitude. She struggled with vision loss, which robbed her of the ability to read scripts or watch the shows she had once starred in. The financial security she had once enjoyed disappeared, leaving her alone in a small, cluttered apartment filled with memories of a career that never quite reached its full potential. She died on January 15, 2000, at the age of 83 from natural causes. Nicholas Worth played Bum in Night Court in 1985 at the age of 48. Bum was a destitute but oddly charismatic figure who wandered into the courtroom, embodying the harsh realities of homelessness in a world that often turned a blind eye. Worth, a character actor known for his intimidating presence, found himself typecast in villainous roles, often playing brutish criminals or henchmen. Despite a long career in film and television, he never achieved leading man status, a disappointment that haunted him. Behind the scenes, Worth battled with severe depression, exacerbated by financial instability. His marriage to an aspiring actress ended in a bitter divorce, and their only son, Mark, became estranged from him, blaming Worth's constant work and emotional distance. In later years, the industry all but abandoned him, leaving him with mounting medical bills and no steady income. Isolated and forgotten, he suffered a fatal heart attack on May 7, 2007, at the age of 69, dying alone in his modest apartment. Phil Leeds portrayed Norm in Night Court in 1984 at the age of 68. Norm was an eccentric, lovable fixture in the courtroom, known for his offbeat humor and peculiar charm. In real life, Leeds was a seasoned comedian who thrived in the golden age of television but faced a harrowing downfall. His career hit a devastating roadblock during the McCarthy-era blacklist, leaving him unemployed for years and forcing him into near poverty. He never fully recovered from this betrayal by the industry he loved. His marriage to his wife, Toby, was marked by turbulence, with frequent separations and long stretches of estrangement. They had no children, a regret he often voiced in his later years. His health declined sharply in the 1990s, exacerbated by chronic respiratory issues, and he spent his final years battling loneliness, his phone rarely ringing with job offers or invitations. He succumbed to pneumonia on August 16, 1998, at the age of 82, fading from public memory like so many forgotten stars before him. Ralph Manza portrayed Angelo in Night Court in 1984 at the age of 63. Angelo was a resourceful, street-smart character, always looking for an angle to turn a situation in his favor. Manza, a career character actor, spent decades playing comedic sidekicks and background roles but never found real fame. He struggled with financial instability, often taking whatever work he could find to support his family. His marriage to his wife, Emily, lasted for decades but was marred by hardship, as his unpredictable income created constant tension. They had 2 daughters, Lisa and Maria, both of whom distanced themselves from the Hollywood chaos that had consumed their father's life. As he aged, Manza suffered from severe heart disease but continued working, unwilling to retire out of necessity rather than choice. His life ended suddenly on January 31, 2000, at the age of 78, when a heart attack struck him down. Stanley Brock played Lieutenant Gerard in Night Court in 1984 at the age of 53. Gerard was a no-nonsense, tough-as-nails officer, often bringing a hardened realism to the courtroom. Brock, known for his fast-talking style, had spent years scraping by in Hollywood, landing minor roles but never securing the financial stability he desperately needed. He married once, but the union collapsed under the weight of his career struggles, leaving him childless and alone. As the roles dried up, Brock turned to alcohol, seeking solace in dimly lit bars where he would reminisce about his glory days to uninterested patrons. His health began to deteriorate, his once booming voice reduced to a rasp by years of chain smoking. A heart attack claimed his life on January 25, 1991, at the age of 59, his body discovered in his tiny apartment days later, with no family to claim him and only a handful of mourners attending his funeral. George Murdoch played Detective Griffin in Night Court in 1984 at the age of 54. Griffin was a sharp-witted investigator, relentless in his pursuit of justice. Off-screen, Murdoch enjoyed a steady acting career, appearing in numerous films and TV shows, yet always relegated to supporting roles. His marriage to his longtime partner, Helen, ended in quiet heartbreak, as the demands of his career left little room for intimacy or family life. They had one son, Thomas, who grew distant, resentful of his father's long absences and emotional detachment. In his later years, Murdoch faced a brutal battle with cancer, enduring grueling treatments that drained both his finances and spirit. He spent his final days in a hospice, largely forgotten by the industry he had dedicated his life to. He died on April 30, 2012, at the age of 81, his legacy overshadowed by the countless bit parts he had played, his name never truly recognized by the public he had once entertained. Angela Aames played Angela in Night Court in 1985 at the age of 29, embodying a vivacious and warm character whose infectious energy brought light to the series. Off-screen, however, her life was anything but bright. Typecast as the bubbly blonde, she struggled to be taken seriously in Hollywood, her talent dismissed in favor of her looks. Despite her early success in films and TV, she faced mounting rejections, each one eroding her confidence. She married Mark Haynes, hoping for stability, but the relationship was fraught with tension. They longed for children, but multiple miscarriages shattered their dreams of a family, leaving Angela in a deep depression. As job offers dwindled, financial hardship added to her despair. She turned to prescription pills to cope, her once radiant spirit dimming under the weight of her personal and professional failures. On November 27, 1988, she died suddenly at just 32 from a heart condition caused by a virus. Larry Gelman played Man No. 1 in Night Court in 1985 at the age of 55, a small but memorable role in the chaotic courtroom. A veteran character actor, he had a steady career with appearances in The Odd Couple, MASH*, and The Bob Newhart Show, yet he remained in the shadows of Hollywood, never achieving widespread fame. His personal life was riddled with quiet heartbreak, his long marriage to Sylvia was strained by financial instability and the sacrifices of a struggling actor's life. Their only son, Daniel, grew distant, resentful of his father's inability to provide a stable home. In his later years, Larry suffered from multiple strokes that robbed him of his ability to work or even enjoy the television that had once been his lifeline. Friends from the industry faded away, and he spent his final days in a nursing home, battling loneliness and deteriorating health. On June 7, 2021, he passed away at the age of 90 from complications following a fall. John Dullaghan played Man in Courtroom in Night Court in 1986 at the age of 56, a minor but reliable presence in the chaotic courtroom setting. A lifelong character actor, his career was filled with uncredited roles and fleeting appearances, his face familiar but his name unknown to most. Decades in the industry left him with little recognition and even less financial security. His personal life mirrored his career, fractured and unfulfilling. His marriage ended in divorce, his wife weary of the instability that came with his career. His two children, tired of his constant absences, drifted away, leaving him isolated in his later years. Alcohol became his companion, numbing the pain of unrealized dreams. When he was diagnosed with lung cancer, he faced the disease alone, enduring painful treatments with no family by his side. He died on January 18, 2009, at 78, his passing barely making a ripple in an industry that had long since moved on. John Ingle played Theodore Wood in Night Court in 1989 at the age of 61, portraying an authoritative and sophisticated figure whose presence commanded attention. Ingle had spent much of his life balancing two careers, acting and teaching, but despite decades in the industry, he never reached the level of fame he had dreamed of. Though he remained married to Grace Lynn Martin for over 5 decades, the strain of an unfulfilled career and his relentless pursuit of acting success weighed heavily on him. He struggled with self-doubt, questioning whether he had made the right choices in life. As he aged, illness struck, cancer crept into his body, robbing him of his energy, his passion, and eventually, his voice. Despite his deteriorating condition, he continued to work as long as he could, desperate to hold on to the career he had given his life to. On September 16, 2012, he succumbed to cancer at the age of 84. Eugene Roche played Jack Sullivan in Night Court in 1984 at the age of 56, portraying a wise and compassionate figure whose warmth made him a comforting presence. In reality, Roche was a hard-working character actor whose talent was respected but never fully rewarded with stardom. Though he built an impressive resume, he was always cast in supporting roles, watching from the sidelines as others took the spotlight. This weighed on him deeply, a lifelong ache that never faded. His first marriage ended in heartbreak, his wife growing tired of a life dictated by his unpredictable career. Though he remarried and had multiple children, he often felt like an outsider in his own family, working long hours that kept him away from home. In his later years, his health declined rapidly. Years of stress, poor diet, and workaholism left him with heart problems. On July 28, 2004, he died from a fatal heart attack at 75. Gilbert Gottfried played Oscar Brown in Night Court in 1991 at the age of 36, his unmistakable voice and eccentric humor making him a standout presence. Yet, beneath his comedic exterior was a man plagued by insecurity and personal struggles. Throughout his career, he was often ridiculed for his odd persona, leading him to develop a thick emotional shield. Despite marrying Dara Kravitz and having 2 children, he lived in constant fear of being abandoned, never fully believing he deserved happiness. His health became an increasing concern as myotonic dystrophy, a cruel and degenerative disease, took its toll. The once booming voice that made him famous grew weaker, his body betraying him little by little. As his condition worsened, so did his isolation. Friends drifted away, unable to face the reality of his declining health. He died on April 12, 2022, at 67 from recurrent ventricular tachycardia. Estelle Harris played Easy Mary in Night Court in 1985 at the age of 57, bringing warmth and charm to the role of a resourceful and sharp-witted woman who always seemed to have a trick up her sleeve. Though beloved for her comedic timing, Harris struggled to break free from typecasting, spending much of her career in minor roles despite her undeniable talent. Professionally, she found success voicing Mrs. Potato Head in Toy Story, but off-screen, life was less kind. Married to Cy Harris, the couple endured decades of financial instability and emotional distance, raising 3 children in a household often filled with arguments. Her son struggled with severe health issues, adding to her emotional burden. As she aged, her body weakened, and the comedic spark that once defined her dimmed under the weight of chronic pain and declining health. Near the end, dementia crept in, leaving her confused and isolated. On April 2, 2022, at 93, she passed away from natural causes. Matt Landers played Bob Smith in Night Court in 1984 at 31, a quirky and endearing character known for his oddball humor. Though he found steady work in television, appearing in Die Hard and 48 Hours, his career never reached the heights he had dreamed of. Typecast as the forgettable background cop or henchman, Landers struggled with feelings of professional failure, watching peers surpass him. His personal life was equally troubled. Twice divorced, he fathered 2 children but became estranged from them due to his battles with alcohol. As years passed, loneliness consumed him, and financial difficulties forced him into smaller, lower-paying gigs. The final blow came with a devastating cancer diagnosis, which drained him both physically and emotionally. Unable to afford the best treatment, he withered away in near obscurity. On March 12, 2015, at 62, he died, his once lively spirit extinguished by years of hardship and unfulfilled dreams. Florence Stanley played Judge Wilbur in Night Court in 1987 at 63, embodying a tough, no-nonsense jurist with an unwavering sense of justice. A respected actress, she had a long career in stage and screen, with memorable roles in Barney Miller and My Two Dads, but true stardom always eluded her. Behind the scenes, her life was marked by struggles. Her marriage to Martin Newman lasted until his death, but it was fraught with tension, worsened by their childless home and the pressures of aging in Hollywood. In her final years, she suffered multiple strokes, each one stealing more of her independence. Once a commanding presence, she became a shadow of herself, confined to a hospital bed, her body failing her. On October 3, 2003, at 79, she passed away from complications of a stroke, a once powerful figure reduced to silence, her life ending in the stillness of a hospital room. Who's your favorite character in Night Court? How do you feel knowing that the actors have passed away? Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you don't miss future videos. Thank you so much.